Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, people. And yeah, this is your first of two videos today. We're starting with a what we learned video. We haven't had this since the Newcastle game, I checked. Because listen, the last few games of Lopetegi, we were seeing the same thing, and that was the last good performance we had was against Newcastle, like proper good performance. And I think under Graham Potter we can start doing these what we learned again, just because I won't be repeating myself, hopefully. And if I am repeating myself, hopefully it's for a good thing, and hopefully we're seeing more patterns as well. But a lot of this is in hope, as I just said. But make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 1K this year, and we're nearly on 700. We are 7 away as I'm currently recording. Listen, people might unsubscribe, and it might be even more than that by the end of this video. But if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Obviously, one training session. One training session. None of us were expecting anything. Obviously, on the watch along, I was still annoyed, and it was mainly not just because of that. It was just a bunch of nonsense going on in the chat. But um, also, it was just a case of individuals letting Graham Potter down, as I've already said in my match review, in my match reaction, and my fan cam. And to be honest with you, it's not really a shock. I think the battles that I was afraid of beforehand kind of came into fruition, especially in the back end of the game. Like Watkins against Mavropanos wasn't actually a threat until it got to like the last 20 minutes or whatever, because even Mavropanos started the second half really well, but then it all fell apart. Like, I don't know whether it was run out of steam or anything like that. Or I don't know what really happened, but Villa just upped the intensity, and I think momentum just shifted. And as much as I had it on mute, I'm assuming the crowd obviously got behind the fact that Villa were gaining momentum. And then it's kind of long when you're at a place like Villa Park. Villa Park's one of them places where you're like, you can't let the crowd get momentum. You can't let the home team get momentum. You got to slow it down, etc. And all of that stuff as well. We were going direct a lot. We were going direct a lot from goal kicks, but I think that's because one training session. I think he eventually wants to play out from the back with this team, but and we did play out from the back, but I think it was more of an instruction to just hit it long from Kilman and try and flick it on, which is what we did, and we did it well, by the way. That's how you play long ball football and possession based football, which is what something we failed to do under the previous two managers. Drag them in, put the ball long, flick on, and get the players around them and get the players ready for the second duel. We actually looked so much more coached, and we had only 24 hours under this manager to prepare compared to under Lopetegui, where we had him since June. And in January, we're still talking about, well, what are West Ham? Even pundits are like, what the fuck is going on with West Ham United? Like, what is that identity? And you'd like to think that we're seeing the outline of the identity now, which is what I've been asking for. I'm trying to see what you're trying to do. If like good coaches, you'll see what they're trying to do. That's why I always refer to Maresca and Hertzler and Arnie Slots with Brighton, Liverpool, and Chelsea, because they're all new coaches as well, but you know what they're trying to do. They also got hired around the same time as Lopetegui did. People could be like, "Oh, they're better squads." It's not really about the players. You can make shit players like play to your style, which is what Potter's done. So let's present the screen. This was the lineup. This was basically the lineup, because these formations change with Graham Potter. The 3-4-2-1, the 3-5-2, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, etc. But off the ball, this was what it was. Now, we got to mainly talk about off the ball, mainly because we didn't have the ball much. We didn't actually have the ball. We started with like 60% possession, like around the start of the first half. But our lack of ability to actually keep the ball was kind of due to the momentum that Villa had on us. And the fact that we went 1-0 up so early, it kind of set up for a typical West Ham day. But in possession, Somerville was obviously pushing up. Kudus was tucking in. When I first saw Paquetá on the left, I was getting a bit worried, and then I saw he was going narrow, and this was like 20 seconds into the game, and I was thinking, okay, if he's going narrow, then they're playing as 2-10. Somerville's playing right wing back, and Scholes is playing left wing back. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense. This is what I thought was going to happen under Lopetegui. With Wan-Bissaka's position, he was going to tuck in, and then the left back would bomb on. But we didn't see that. We saw instead Wan-Bissaka playing like in these areas under Lopetegui over here. But Wan-Bissaka was playing here and then also joining the attack. Like, because one of the centre backs always joins the attack under Potter for Brighton, it was Cucurella. Obviously, he's a fullback, but he can tuck into the back three in possession, and Brighton would have a winger on the other side. They would have Solly March playing right wing back at times, which is where Somerville was playing. And I think Somerville, this will be his main position under the new manager because of his pace. He works hard, and he offers a direct threat going forward. And he can play on the right. Obviously, I prefer him on the left as a goal threat, but he can create as well. And you saw for the cutback for the Paquetá goal, maybe for the rest of the season, until he ups his finishing and maybe like works on his end product, maybe the right hand side is more best for him. Obviously, with these positions, the Paquetá and Kudus, this is where you want both of them. This is where you want both of them, and that's why we saw them play well in the first half. Um, and it gets the best out of their abilities. Obviously, I was really let down by Kudus in the second half. Basic stuff. And with Paquetá, first 60 minutes was really good. Last 30 minutes was really poor. Um, you can say that for most of the team, to be honest. Like Mavropanos started really well. Even Sufa, when he came on, was all right. He was good. And then he gave away the ball. Souček was good throughout. Kilman was good until the goal. Skulls was good throughout until he came off. Fabianski was good until, well, it actually wasn't his fault because Souček tried to block it, but it wasn't really any of their fault because I get it as Souček trying to defend, Fabianski's trying to save. It becomes a mess for that goal from Onana. Alvarez actually started well. I would say first 25 minutes, and then he dipped. So everyone kind of, and Wan-Bissaka was good. Wan-Bissaka, I'll say Wan-Bissaka, Souček, and Skulls are the only ones I can really say that. And Somerville, when he was on the pitch, were the only four that I can really say that played well throughout. Everyone else, no. Everyone else kind of dipped. But I'm not surprised. Like with Souček, I'm a bit surprised in terms of the system. I don't think he'll. I think we'll still need to upgrade on him going forward. Don't get me wrong, but he played really well. Took the captain's armband by storm there. But with these three, Skulls, Wan-Bissaka, and Somerville, I'm not surprised that them three played well throughout. Because Skulls, I've always had Stockton. I've always had Stockton, Ollie Skulls, and what his career is going to be like, and the fact that he could be the successor of Aaron Cresswell. And I just think he performed really well throughout, especially defensively, intercepting, reading the game. And the three in the back suits him even more because we all know his debut. What was the team we played against in the Conference League? It was the Conference League, right? I think it was the Conference League. It was that season where, yeah, it was that season. Yeah, Mubama scored and stuff. I can't remember what game it was, but Skulls and Mubama obviously got their debuts. It was Bucharest, FCSB away. Skulls played in the back three, and that really benefits his attributes throughout his game and stuff. Now, so as I was saying, Somerville will be in attacks like this, and his ability to combine with Kudus really fills the void of the right hand side a lot more. I might do a separate video on what a fully fit West Ham team could look like under Graham Potter. Maybe on Sunday, so look out for that. Wan-Bissaka will still join the attack as the extra centre back. As I said, Cucurella he played that role on the left hand side for him. So Skulls is the defender on the other side, whoever's playing wing back under Graham Potter is going to be attacking. It's going to be attacking. They're going to be either fullbacks that are basically wing backs like Skulls, like a Stupinian was like for a short period of time under Potter. Solly March can also play left back, funny enough, and can play wing back as well. Trossard would play this role, funny enough. I'd actually would take Trossard, by the way. I know people have been linking us to Trossard in terms of our own fans. I would take Trossard for like 2 years. I think he'd do well under Graham Potter. I don't think we should necessarily be trying to sign people's leftovers, but I would take Trossard at West Ham. Funny enough, we were linked with him like a few years ago. Obviously, Somerville here, Wan-Bissaka here, and this was creating like good opportunities, especially down the right hand side. And Skulls had the ability to bomb forward here, which kind of leaves a box. Midfielders obviously pushing up a bit higher, and this is fine because sometimes Wan-Bissaka's here if the ball's on the left hand side, so we can still stop the counters. And if the ball goes around the left hand side, Kilman can push up, Mavropanos can push up, Wan-Bissaka can tuck in, or it'll be one of the midfielders, and then you know how it goes. You know how it goes when your team's just trying to defend and stuff like that. But let's pull it back to off the ball real quick. what I really noticed as well is that Lucas Paquetá was helping out a lot. So it kind of became at times a 5-3-2, um, but a very unconventional 5-3-2. Like it was like very tucked in here. Kudus and Fulkirk were kind of, and Danny Ings when he came on, were cutting off the two centre mid lines to then press the centre backs, and then Paquetá would join them, Skulls would push up, etc. as well. But also Alvarez and Suchek will get tight to those centre midfielders. So we kind of trap them in a box. And that's what kind of stopped them from playing, especially early into the game. I think if we get midfielders with a bit more energy and a bit more intensity, and we don't really have many excuses when it comes to lack of energy because we don't have Europe this season. So I don't really want to see any of that nonsense as an excuse. Um, but I think with if we buy players with better intensity, better reading of the game, but better technical ability, but tacklers like Caicedo and Bissouma for Brighton were good tacklers, but also good on the ball. We need to just scout properly with the midfield. Midfielders, and I want to see a one midfielder, but I would like to see a starting midfielder ideally. But I would like to see one or two attackers. We need to get attackers like in this window due to the fact that Fulkirk is injured. Danny Ings, we can't rely on Danny Ings. Jared Bowen is also injured. Mikel Antonio is injured. Like Somerville could be injured. Apparently, it's precautionary. Apparently, it's precautionary. So like, like he kind of hinted that the Fulkirk one was bad, and didn't really say the same for Somerville. So I don't think it's going to be that bad. I'm hoping he's back for Fulham. We need him. We need Somerville. If not, then play Guilherme. Guilherme is a good option, and hopefully he'll get more minutes as well. I don't think there's anyone we can recall that would, without stunting their development, like Callum Marshall and George Murphy, etc. I think just let them carry on their loans, unless he really wants to play them, which I'm down for. I'm down for. Give them a chance. Why not? Um, but obviously, we're trying to cut off the centre mid lines, and then they push up to press the centre back. So once they cut off the pass, they press, and then these two press. By the way, West Ham are pressing. Who would have thought West Ham would press? I'm saying, thank God we don't have to see none of this high line with no press under Lopetegui, none of this half-hearted press under David Moyes at times. An actual press. Thank God. Thank God. Because this team was Kudus is good at pressing. Like Fulkirk, when he's fit, is good at pressing. Even Ings is. Alvarez isn't. Somerville is. Paquetá is. Skulls and Wan-Bissaka have shown they can press as well. But Paquetá was helping a lot down this left-hand side once Matty Cash was getting forward. So we can pretty much man mark there. But also, the biggest tactical tweak that I saw that was actually kind of decent was Crescencio Somerville and Ian Matson. Ian Matson was obviously going down the left-hand side. Villa like to play their right back tucking in, so their left back can pretty much bomb on as their fifth attacker sort of thing. So they attack with a five as well. Everyone builds with a 3-2-5 in the Premier League. And Somerville was matching his pace. So they always tried to find the diagonal, and he was always cutting the pass out. And he seemed to be enjoying it. Attackers don't usually enjoy, tracking back and stuff like that as well. But he seemed to be enjoying the best of both worlds. He can make a great wing back. I think a lot of intangibles in wing back we can see in Somerville. But also, this allows us to kind of like break into a 4-4-2 where like we can balance it between a 5-3-2 and a 4-4-2 where we don't get outnumbered in midfield and we don't get outnumbered in wide positions either. So that's very useful for us. But this is the kind of way that went wrong, though. So, like, when the first half ended, obviously Somerville came off and it became Sufal at right centre back and Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right wing back. So that kind of hindered us, the combination play between, Kudus and Somerville. Now it's Kudus and Wan-Bissaka. However, the reason why Kudus was performing bad wasn't because of Crescencio Somerville's substitution. It was because of him. The basic stuff. You've got to pass better. Can't be putting people under pressure. When Kudus is dribbling from the right or the left into central areas, he needs to pass diagonally or forward. But there was a pass that went to Kilman that went out for a throw-in that was leading towards Ollie Scholes. That was one of the worst passes I've seen this season. I don't go at Thomas Suchek for this kind of stuff. I go at Edson Alvarez for this kind of stuff. You can't be doing the same thing. Paquetá gets hate for this kind of stuff as well. You're doing the exact same thing. Yes, you are playing better in terms of running forward into the box, running forward, creating chances, but we can't. We need to keep Kudus away from the first phase of play as much as possible. This guy is terrible in the first phase of play. Everything going forward, I'm still happy with. Um, I've always said, and we've discussed this before, like in the live chat and stuff on our live streams, is Kudus is very good at shooting when he doesn't have time to think about it. When he's taking too many touches, it's a bit like Raheem Sterling, where he takes so many touches and he's running into trouble and then he skies it. Like the time when he hit the shot against Liverpool off the post, that's when he's like, okay, I'm running and I've shot it. I don't need to think about it. Against Freiburg, when he's running through players, he's not thinking about it. People will be like, oh, he's taking a lot of touches there, but he's running at full speed in space. The goal against Arsenal in the cup, where he's taking the touchdown to then slide home, he doesn't need to think about that. He doesn't need to think about it. It's quick 2 touches. That's what we need to see. Kudus just high up the pitch. Don't join the first phase of play. The thing is, the use of Paquetá, I think also, like Potter even said it in the interview, we played way too deep, like in the second half because of Villa's pressure. But I'm not going to go at him for too much for that. It's mainly a case of Paquetá was joining the left wing back spots a bit too much, in my opinion. Like there's a difference between tracking back and then you pretty much stealing someone's position. I get Paquetá loves tracking back. Paquetá loves running and working hard and stuff like that. But you're kind of running for the sake of running in a sense that you're making skulls tuck in. So we're pretty much playing a six. We're pretty much playing a six at the back. You don't need to do all of that. You just need to tuck in and help Skulls out in wide areas. You don't need to become their left wing back. Skulls is the left wing back. We've already got 5 defenders. Don't join in the defensive line. Just join in the midfield line. It was a great work rate. Don't get me wrong, but you don't need to do that because that just that gives Aston Villa a numerical advantage in the middle. Just tuck in a bit, which was kind of what faulted us as well. I know the goals didn't come from the right hand side, but it just allowed Villa to have more joy in those areas as well. So there's that. But we need reinforcements. I think that's what we need as well. Like, I don't know why we're linked with another 30-year-old striker from Nice, like Laborde guy. I've never watched the guy, but people will be like, "Oh, but you just want youth players." I don't. But we need to lower the age of the squad, and we need a striker for the long term. We've got Fulkirk, we've got Antonio, we've got Danny Ings. We need a young striker. We don't need another 30-year-old if you've got 3 30-year-olds. Just balance it. We've got the experience. We've got enough experience in the squad. Just get a bit of young flary players, which is what the plan was in the summer. I still maintain it was a good transfer window. However, we've got a lot of injuries. So the injuries aren't an excuse in football, by the way. Injuries are not an excuse. And what I mean by that is you can't be like, oh well, we've had this player injured or we've had this player injured for why you faltered if you had a chance in 2 transfer windows to solve it. In the summer, we didn't. In the summer, we didn't have any injuries that we needed to solve, I don't think, apart from Alvarez. Where we got Rodriguez in as the backup. With this one, we've got 2 attackers injured. Bowen's out till March. I know he's running, and I know he might be ahead of schedule. Maybe he'll join back in February, but February's still a long time. We've got a lot of games. It's still a lot of games, even though we're only in one competition now, and that's the Premier League. Our season's basically over. Our season was over anyway. We kind of just need to see Potter get used to the team. I just want to see some good football now. I'd want to see some good football and wins. We'll try and play good football. Try your best. You ain't got a preseason. I'm not expecting a full-fledged thing by the end of the season. I'm not expecting a full-fledged thing by May. I'm not expecting it. I'm expecting it next season. And it's not a situation where we need to get carried away of, oh my God, Potter is the oracle and stuff like that. But we've seen more from one game than we have with Lopetegui in any game. And I have to compare this manager to the previous manager. As much as I did want to do it with Lopetegui and Moyes, you had to because it's the previous manager you've had. I didn't like. Look what we're seeing in one game, and not even one game, one training session to prepare for the game. I think we're going to be fine, but whether it means fine means 10th and 9th again, or we get Europe, maybe not next season because we've kind of hindered ourselves again. But maybe in another year, then cool. How much time am I going to give Potter? Ask me at the end of the season. In fact, Ask me next season. Ask me next season. Ask me a few games uh, into the next season, and we'll see from there. Because he'll have a preseason in the summer. He's got a 2.5 year contract. It's not a 6 month contract for him to earn it and then get 2.5 years and then 2 years or whatever. But I'm happy with the appointment. In fact, is the appointment's grown and grown on me as the game went by and stuff like that. And I'm seeing the exact same principles and the same philosophy at Brighton. It's just the very first stage of it. So shout out to Graham Potter, and yeah, hopefully we can carry on from here. But listen, this is not going to be the only video I'm going to have today. We're going to have the reaction to David Moyes joining Everton. Obviously, I've got to do a video on that because it's kind of related. Um, but listen, make sure to leave a like on the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. And an email for inquiries. And I'll see you guys later.